Hello Year 8 parents, welcome to our Year 8 Parental Information Evening. I'm Mr Jenkins, I'm the Progress Coordinator for Year 8. We're just going to highlight some of the more important information and key dates for this year. As you can see, this is the Year 8 Pastoral team. I'm the Progress Coordinator, my Assistant Progress Coordinator is Mrs O'Leary, and we've been fortunate enough to retain all of the same form tutors from Year 7. Here are the key Year 8 dates. As you can see, they contain information about when the students will be doing their assessments in school and when you should be getting reports home, as well as the parents' evening and the awards evening. We will be providing lots of opportunities for students to develop their skills and to take on responsibility and different experience. So things like form captain, which we've just been choosing this week. There'll be different leadership roles throughout the school, which kind of be rolled out as we go through the year. There'll be the chance to get involved with sports teams and things like that. So we're really encouraging students to participate, to throw themselves into any of those opportunities that are offered. We want to give that kind of broad range of opportunities, and we want to develop the student skills. We also advise students to get involved with any kind of outside of school activities as well, which will help to further widen and broaden their skills, help with confidence, self-esteem. And so if they got involved with things like sports teams and part-time work and volunteering, helping in the home, and even helping a sibling or a member of the family, just anything really that in the future they can talk about as something that they've done. It really helps with applications for college and jobs, and for things like the junior leadership team. That will really help them in the future. The new choices system will allow Year 8 students to try some different subjects throughout Year 9 and then not make their real option choices until the end of Year 9. And so they don't have to make those big decisions till a little bit later. Towards the end of Year 8, students will choose 4 subjects as their choices, which will be subjects that they study throughout Year 9. And then they can decide to continue with these choices when they go into GCSE and Key Stage 4 in Year 10. We will be running some taster sessions for the choices subjects May 26th and May 27th, 30-minute taster sessions to give the students a better idea of which subjects they might like to choose for those choices to study through Year 9. An information booklet will be sent home to parents towards the end of May, and then there'll be a choices form to be completed online.
Hi everyone, this is Mrs O'Leary. I am the Assistant Progress Coordinator for Year 8. My main responsibility is around attendance and punctuality. I'm just going to talk briefly about attendance and how it has a direct link to achievement. There are lots of studies out there that show this, and because of that we have high expectations for all our pupils. Students should have an attendance of 96% or above, and ideally 100%. This table just illustrates the link between attendance and achievement within school. If a pupil at the end of their academic year has missed 10 days throughout the whole year, that will bring their attendance down to 94% overall, which means that they've missed 50 lessons within school, which is a lot of learning missed. So this just highlights the importance for being in school and avoiding missing those lessons. During form every week, there is a morning where we'll look at attendance, so every pupil will be aware of their weekly attendance, their yearly attendance and any weekly late. This is just a way for pupils to be responsible and have ownership of their attendance and understand the impact that that has on their learning. Punctuality is really important here at the Heath, so all students need to be in school for 8:55 a.m. If a pupil arrives past 9 o'clock, they'll be marked as late. If a pupil arrives late twice or more in 1 week, they will receive a late detention on the following Thursday. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the COVID isolation rule changes. So the government guidelines have been changed and updated. Last year, pupils had to isolate from school if any member of the household had COVID symptoms or a positive test. That has now changed. So your child should only isolate from school themselves if they have symptoms or have had a positive test. For example, if mum, dad, gran, whoever is at home has tested positive or has symptoms, only they will need to isolate. Your child will still need to attend school. We monitor attendance and punctuality at the Heath in different ways. It could be through Form Tutor, it could be through myself or other channels, but we do like to celebrate success and achievement. So those with 100%, they will be looked at every half term, and that would be celebrated and rewarded. But we also look at those who have had most improvement. So if attendance does drop for whatever reason, we do celebrate those that have made massive improvements in their attendance to bring it back up to target. That could be through different ways that we do that through the school. I've put my email address there at the bottom, which is o'learyf@heathschool.org.uk. If you do have any questions about attendance or punctuality, please send me an email and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But thank you very much for listening. Take care.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Monk and I'm here to deliver the section on English and what to expect in English in Year 8. So, what are our students working towards? So the skills developed in Year 8 will build upon the skills taught in Year 7 and provide a smooth transition towards English, as well as a foster an interest in and enjoyment of studying English. So below in the table I've put together the units of work for the entire year, so you can see which topics will be studied. So the first unit of work, which runs from September right the way through to December, which is Autumn 1 and 2, which will be a novel-based unit. So students will study either 12 minutes to midnight or Street Child, depending upon which set they are in, and they will work on both reading, writing, speaking and listening skills within these units. After Christmas in January, when we return, we will go on to a poetry unit where students are given an anthology of different poems that they will look at throughout that unit of work. Then, after February half term, we move on to a unit called Author's Intent, where they look at 19th century and 21st century non-fiction texts and respond to them with both reading and writing skills developed. When we return after spring break, we move on to studying a play. Again, depending upon which set your child is in, depends on which play they study. At the moment, the plays stand at face or free. The last half term, we move on to a unit called Shakespeare's Restless World. So they don't study one Shakespeare play in this unit, they will study extracts from different Shakespeare plays and get an understanding of what it was like in Shakespearean England. The next area that I wanted to introduce you to in this presentation is Accelerated Reader. So Accelerated Reader was introduced last year to Year 7, and it is a computer-based programme that all students can access through the school's website. So I've put a screenshot of the school's website below, and this is how students can get onto the website. They have to do it this way. If they just type in Accelerated Reader to Google, it will not work. They'll be trying to log into somebody else's website. So they have to go onto Accelerated Reader via our website to be able to log in correctly. All students will be given a login card, which is in the bottom right hand side of this presentation, and they should have this in their planners. They'll be given this in their English lessons, and they will have a username and a password to log into the site. Once they're in the site, they use the site to quiz on a book that they have recently read. The book should be determined by the outcome of their STAR test, which students will be invited to go into the computer rooms between September and October to complete a STAR test, and they will be given a ZPD. So it's a zone of proximal development, which basically means an area of where they should be reading. And so they use the website. So for example, they can type in a book, a David Walliams book, see what ZPD it is. If that's within their range, that would be a book that we would recommend that they read. Students, to support Accelerated Reader, will also have access to a library lesson a fortnight in our lessons to support it, where they have the opportunity to quiz if they need to find a book, and just any questions that they have for their class teacher. So the last area that I wanted to focus on is what homework looks like in Year 8. So one homework that students will get, which was similar to last year, which will be a spelling homework. So the spelling homeworks tend to be words which are specific to the topics that students are covering in lessons. They take them home, they learn them for the week, and then they will be tested approximately a week later. The second homework that we set is for students to read for an hour a week. Around an hour a week is what we would advise. This is to support the Accelerated Reader programme, as mentioned on the previous slides. If students are reading regularly, they are then getting through the books quicker, which means that they are able to quiz more frequently. And teachers have access to Accelerated Reader to keep a tally on how many quizzes students are doing. If a student has selected a book which isn't on Accelerated Reader and they are enjoying that book, I would never say stop reading because it's not on Accelerated Reader. I would say then the next book that they select, try and make sure that it has a quiz available, because the programme doesn't have a quiz for every single book that's ever been written. A class-based homework may also be set as well. I've put a website below which is called AR Book Find, which again, if you log onto this website and you type in the title of a book, it just gives you an opportunity to see what ZPD is to support the Accelerated Reader programme. And that is everything that I wanted to discuss for English.
Hi, my name's Mr. Riley and I'm the Head of Science, and together with Mrs. Fowler, Head of Key Stage 3, we'll be your point of contact if you have any questions about science at the Heath School. So when your child brings their exercise book home, what might you see in and on their books? Well, on the front of their books, you'll see what we call the progress log. And these will track the different key point quizzes that they'll do throughout the year. Now, these are the key ideas that students will need to take from each of the topic cells, for example, the parts of the cell. As students complete these, they will colour code them, either red, amber or green, to show their progress on each of these tests. So in a very visual way, both the student and yourself will be able to see, are there any areas that they need to work on, or where have they really excelled, and we can both praise them at home. The other thing that is very much a feature of what you'll see in the books are red pen activities. Now, we encourage students to be using it for the students to write in rather than something we're writing into their books. And it's to encourage students to be reflective and to always to be thinking, how can they improve their answers? What extra information they can give. If they've made a mistake, can they correct it themselves? Of course, with support from the teacher within the classroom and for yourselves at home. Now, they will also take home something called a skills booklet, or they might also refer to it as a homework booklet, a little A5 booklet, where the students will practice all of the skills they need to be successful in science. So that could be drawing a graph, reading a scale, identifying equipment, designing an investigation, what are the variables in it, saying what a set of results have shown about an investigation. These are all skills that are so important for students to be successful. And it's important that they are completing those homework tasks at home. How can we help them to do these things? Well, I've mentioned the key point quizzes. Now, although there will be times within the lesson where they will be learning about these new ideas, these new keywords that they will use, you can really support them at home by setting aside just a couple of minutes each week to quiz them on these questions that they might be asked. What are the different parts of the cell? What is the part of the cell which which controls what goes in and out of the cell. These kind of things. So when students will receive these questions to take home, they can ask and answer them as part of their revision. Simply ask them something that they've learned that week. Science is full of many technical terms that we don't often use in everyday conversations, and just encouraging your child to have a conversation about what they've learned and to use that language is so powerful in them being able to remember and retain this information. Now, there are other resources that you can use at home as well as the books and the resources you send home. On the web, we've got BBC Bite Size, among others, which really dovetails into the course that we present. So each of the topics, or that first topic, cells, will have a section on BBC Bite Size that if there's a particular term they can't remember or they're not familiar with, they can go to that website and to recap those ideas. We mentioned the skills booklet or the homework booklet. Are they using it? You can ask them when they come home. There will be set activities from that booklet, and there will be extra activities in case they need extra practice into it. So ask them about it. Have you got your skills booklet? Is that something? What is the skill that you are having a look at this week? Now, every single subject, we've got a program of assessments, both for us to see how well students doing and where we can support them best. Now, there's 4 assessments for year 7, one each term, but in the first term we do have an extra assessment coming very soon on the 15th of October. Now that will encompass the first 2 topics, the introduction to science, where we go over being in a lab and the basic skills, and the first content topic, which is cells. Now that just helps us not to do wholesale resetting, but if there's anybody who's been placed in a set which it really isn't suitable for them, it just gives us some information. So this is not to worry students that somehow if they don't do well on this test, they're going to be moved down a set. But it can happen that from the information we've received, we want to put students in the best set for them, and that just gives us some extra up-to-date information to help support that decision. Now, you will get delivered to you your revision strategies within the lesson to help them to be able to revise, and it's just important that they take those home and they practice them at home. We can show you how to do it in the lesson, but it's really what you do outside the lesson and afterwards, and reinforcing, revisiting those concepts that really embed those ideas. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and if you have any questions or about what you've heard today, please contact me, Mr. Riley, in the Science Department, or Mrs. Fowler, the head of Key Stage 3. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the Year 8 Maths Information presentation. First of all, some key names for you. The head of the department is Mr. C. James, and the Key Stage lead for Year 8 is Mr. P. Jones. In the first half term, here are the topics listed, so feel free to pause the video. We'll be looking at multiples and factors, and we'll be looking at formulae. As you can see, they're split into 3 main sections, so these will form the main part of the lessons and part of the homeworks that will be coming home. We'll also be looking at some other topics as part of our Retrieve to Achieve. So again, you can pause the video. These have been identified as either key building blocks or topics over the last 12-18 months that we feel need to be revisited. Again, these will be done during class time, and there will be additional homework opportunities as well. In terms of a useful website, corbettmaths.com is one that is used often in the maths department and most students will be familiar with. So the website address is there for you to see. When you get to the website, it's the videos and worksheet link that we're looking for, which will take you to a full list of the curriculum. So for example here, let's say we wanted to look at 2D shapes and in particular naming them. There's a few things that we can do. There is a video, so it's just a overhead camera which will talk the student through how to do that particular skill that they want some help with. The textbook exercise link will take you through to a worksheet which is basic practice, just making sure that the video has been understood. The practice questions is a booklet of more exam style questions, so there may be more extended questions or multi-topic questions, more like what they'll face in assessments. In terms of homework, first of all there will be a skills grid, which will talk them through the different aspects of the work they've been doing over the last week or two. Okay, so the skills 1, 2 and 3 will be broken into last lesson, last week and last topic. So skill 1 being last lesson, skill 2 being last week and skill 3 being last topic. So they get that opportunity to look back on previous topics. Skill 4 will be linked to the retrieval topics that we talked about at the beginning of the presentation. We're also using Hegarty. Now Hegarty will be set to support skill 3, so the last topic that they did linked to the skills grid. Within there, if they log in, they're looking for My Tasks, and they will be presented whatever piece of work has been set to support skill 3, the last topic that they did. Again, here you've got options. You can go straight into the task, or you can watch the video, which is where the arrow's pointing here, which again will briefly talk you through the key aspects of the homework that's been set. And then when they're ready, they can do the quiz. They can do the quiz, and if they find it tough, then they could always go back to the video, or they can repeat the quiz multiple times if they want to try and improve their score. Again, it's about mastering this topic that's been set. If for whatever reason they're struggling with the homework that's been set, obviously they can ask the teacher, but there's also a section on Hegarty called Building Blocks, which will take a step back. So it'll be linked to the skill they've been asked to do, but it'll break it down a little bit further. Again, they could have a go at watching a video and having some questions before they then go back and have a go at the homework that's been set. So the building blocks will be a useful resource to help if we're struggling with a piece of homework. Equipment needed, not just for half term 1, pen, pencil, ruler, including a spare pen and a red pen. The Oxford kit has got the math kit in there as well in terms of compass and protractor. Now we do have some at school. Obviously if you've got your own kit, then that'd be better. In terms of a calculator, would highly recommend that we invest in a scientific calculator. Again, it doesn't matter which one. I've shown the Casio here, but it doesn't matter which one you buy. It's about the student being familiar with that particular device. They are similar, but they all work in slightly different ways. So the more familiar the student is with the calculator, then they'll use it when they're doing questions.